let's see, anxiety, panic attacks, and depression are some of the mental health issues that I deal with on a regular basis these days.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
Ever since I was 12, 13, which just happens to be right around the same time that when I was first diagnosed with CF, my parents were told that that would be my life expectancy. I started having panic attacks in the middle of the day, mostly at school. I would feel like I was in a coffin and would start thinking about what it would be like to die and would panic. And I did not tell anyone at the time, and I literally would just sit in class and sort of hope it would go away. Eventually they would, and I would go on about my day. I can remember that happening for probably about 2 years on and off. But I never told anybody until probably about 10 years ago or so, when I opened up to my dad one day when we were talking about something else. That's something I wish I had probably talked to him about earlier, trying to seek help so that I didn't have to deal with those, or could have had help in dealing with those, because they were really scary. I didn't really have panic attacks or anxiety or depression, I don't believe, for a long time after I experienced those when I was about 12 or 13. As I got a little sicker after college and my lung function started to decline, I started having panic attacks. Most of the time when I was exerting myself, they were very infrequent. I'd have, one on vacation, and then I wouldn't have any for a couple of years, and then I'd have another one. Most of the time, like I said, when I was exerting myself and had no place to really stop and catch my breath. A lot of times they happened like while I was in the water and couldn't stand. But those were infrequent then. It's really been over about the past 3 years since I got really sick that I've had anxiety and panic attacks and depression, and those panic attacks have been debilitating in some aspects. And the anxiety of working out and losing my breath and having a panic attack because I can't catch my breath made it hard for a long time to just want to work out. It still makes it difficult sometimes for me to want to try to push myself because of that fear of having a panic attack and not being able to catch my breath. And then that kicks in the anxiety, which then kicks in the panic attack again, and it's like a never-ending circle. That happened for quite a while, and it still happens now. It got to the point a couple of years ago where I couldn't deal with it on my own, and I had to talk to my doctor, and he gave me some medicine that helped sort of take the edge off, and while I would have those panic attacks, and that helped me to get back on an exercise routine, which helped me to get my lung function better, which helped to curtail the panic attack system a little bit. As I was healthier, my lung function was stronger. Those panic attacks were less because I didn't lose my breath quite as much. But it does still prevent me from sometimes. There's that little trigger in the back of my mind as I start to push a little harder when exercising or walking with friends or swimming. There's that little thing inside my brain that says, well, let's not push too hard because we don't want to have a panic attack. And that makes it difficult to keep going. The other big one is the depression. I just get into these sort of funks where I don't want to do much. I'm not happy. I'm not smiley. I have trouble wanting to interact with my kids or do anything that they want to do. And a lot of that gets taken out on my wife, and that's hard for her. It's hard for my kids. we'll talk more about that sort of next week as we talk about the effects that CF has on our partners. But my kids know when I'm depressed and when I get in that mood. My son, as much as I don't want to think he can pick it up, he gets it. My wife tells me stories about how he'll go to her and say, you know, is Dad okay? He seems like he's sort of short with us today, or doesn't really feel like, I don't feel like he wants to be here. And that's really hard for me because I never want my kids to think that I don't want to be around them. I think a lot of it stems from, you know, just trying to consistently process a disease that as you get older gets harder, and as it progresses gets harder to deal with. And the fact that we put so much effort into staying healthy to do these things, to just keep our bodies healthy, that we want sometimes just to be able to do our own thing and have our own space and not deal with this disease. And you know you can't do that. But I have found ways to work through it. Like I said, I previously used medicine to help with the anxiety and the panic attacks. I've gotten a lot into meditation, which has helped me to realize when I'm having panic attacks or anxiety attacks, and even when I'm starting to get depressed, that I can sort of understand those feelings and emotions better. And especially with the panic and the anxiety, that realize that they're just sort of moments, and to recognize them for what they are, but then also realize that they're not permanent, and to let them go. And that's helped me to sort of calm and keep those at bay as much as possible. Not saying they don't creep up anymore, but they still happen quite frequently. But I'm able to recognize when they happen and sort of control it better. The depression, which leads to anger, and the anger that I get also from having this disease and always having to have a schedule, and, you know, not being able to go to the library with my kids on Saturday morning because I have to be doing treatments, and we have all these other things we have to do throughout the day, or just wanting to sleep an extra hour or go to bed an extra hour early. You know, it's all sort of this mental game, and this mental issues that, you know, affect CF in the sense that, you know, when you get into these ruts, you don't want to necessarily do your treatments to stay healthy, like I mentioned earlier. But if you don't do them and you don't stay healthy, then it sort of seems like the mental health side of it gets harder, the panic and the anxiety and the depression. So it's just like this sort of endless loop that feeds into it. And, you know, like I said, I found that meditation has helped try to break some of that for me. Talking to my wife about it, talking to my doctor about it, talking to my friends about it has helped. It helps me know that I'm not by myself in this, and that it's okay to deal with them, and it's okay to ask for help. And so that's the one thing that I would say is it's always okay to ask for help. You know, there's no silver bullet or no magic pencil to sort of write this away, but people can help you get through it. So I hope you enjoyed this video this week, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. And stay well, stay healthy, and take care of yourselves.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.